Giving a Voice to Stigmatized Communities by Ella Robertson, Joseph Larich, and Mary Catherine Benjamin. For this research project, we decided to compare Land Narratives Fantastic Futures, constructed by Toni L. Griffin and the Just City Labs, and Tuskegee Chapel by Robert R. Taylor. Our global challenge was to bring attention to low-income and diverse communities as well as Black representation in the architectural field. Griffin and Taylor's backgrounds, location of inspiration, and design process for Land Narratives Fantastic Futures and the Tuskegee Chapel come from a place of underrepresentation with the hope to advocate for these once silenced voices. Toni Griffin is the founder of Urban AC, which is based in New York and leads transdisciplinary planning and urban design projects for multi-sector clients that live in cities that have histories of spatial and social injustices. She grew up on Chicago's South Side. Robert R. Taylor was MIT's first Black graduate, the nation's first accredited African-American architect, and the designer of the Tuskegee Institute campus building prior to 1932. Taylor grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina, and is the son of a white slave owner and a Black mother. Because of this, he had been allowed enough freedom before the Civil War to go into business for himself. Although both architects grew up in different time periods, both went on to take part in influential projects that influence and improve primarily communities once affected by injustice.
Here we have two pictures of the South Side of Chicago back then. The South Side was segregated at this time, but was also a diverse community that cultivated and established through the Great Migration of African American people to the industrialized North in 1910. The housing discrimination, such as redlining, confined African Americans to a specific area of the South Side of Chicago named the Black Belt. Here we have two pictures of the South Side of Chicago now today. As you can see, it has flourished since back then, and there is way more architectural opportunities than there was back then to make the community more diverse and upscale. Here's a diagram of Tuskegee, Alabama. The red buildings are what Robert R. Taylor designed on the campus. When he first was on the campus, there was only one or two buildings, and now you can see the campus has flourished with his architectural contributions. Tuskegee, Alabama back then was racially segregated, and Taylor worked at the institute to provide better living to African American students. It was mainly just a teaching school, but flourished with different areas after new buildings arose on campus. The closest architecture to Tuskegee was MIT in Boston. Here's two pictures of Tuskegee, Alabama now. The students now have way more opportunities than the students did back then. The people of the city were able to grow their culture without feeling like they needed to hide it.
The picture of the Land Narrative shows the exhibit in the Venus Biennale, and the picture of the chapel shows what it looked like on campus when it was first built. This collage of the Land Narratives shows pictures that were taken during the project. They framed the pictures to make it look like the people in them were superheroes, which the project was partly inspired by. This diagram shows how people move through the building. It shows the main stairs into the floor and the entryways into the chapel. This diagram shows that even though they were designed in different time periods, they both shed light on the same issues regarding the overshadowing of African American communities. Toni Griffin used people from the community to get ideas, and Robert Taylor used students from the university to help build the chapel. This diagram shows that they are completely different structures with different design methods that were built in different times.
After analyzing Griffin and Taylor's backgrounds, the locations they draw inspiration from, and the design processes employed in each respective project, it is evident that both projects use community involvement to rebrand once segregated areas into places of diversity and opportunity.